Hey, if you're looking to replace your brake rotor on your Kar Kaddy SS, this video I will show you how I do it. But before we can do that, we need to get these lug nuts off and get this thing jacked up. When I realized this was bad, a mechanic in the part came over and told me what was wrong with it. And he could actually see that the brake rotor itself was twisted, so it had to be replaced or it had to be resurfaced. The problem is a lot of these are Chinese made now, and so to get one resurfaced, it's very difficult to find a shop that actually has a machine anymore. It's actually cheaper just to replace the rotor. And then the other thing is I talked to 3 parts to see if they, 3 body shops or auto shops or whatever, to see if they would replace that, and none of them wanted to touch this. It's bike week, so you bear with me. Anyways, they didn't want to touch the Kar Kaddy SS, so I'm kind of stuck doing it myself. And so this is how I would do it. The other things you want to look for, there's actually teeth in here. You want to see if any of those are broken. The other one for wear and tear. So you can't see it, but I can actually feel a lip here and in here, and also on the back side. And again, no one wants to resurface them. So I'm going to go ahead and replace this one since my Dolly was not tracking right. The other thing is I'm replacing this new brake with this old brake. And if you look right here, these are bent over. I'll just take a hammer and a big screwdriver, push it back in there and bend it before I remove the brake system. But this should pop right off once I get this removed. Now on the new one, you can literally see that these are not bent. And really to bend it kind of holds it in place, but you don't have to bend those back. So I'm going to choose not to because it's extremely difficult to do. But that's my choice. But if you want, I would recommend that you try to bend it, put it back in place. But you have to have the right tools, and you might take the chance of ruining the pad. So the next thing I'm going to do, and this is optional, is I'm going to go ahead and remove this fender because I'm going to be replacing the brake and the rotor. I'm also going to work and clean up all the rust to protect that so it doesn't rust anymore. I just find it much easier to go ahead and remove the fender. So that's what I'm going to do next. So to remove the fender, it just takes 3 bolts. It's a 9/16 bolt. I just use this, comes off real easy. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is remove the brake system, and there's 2 bolts on the back side. So I'm going to unscrew those so we can remove the caliper. All right, and since this is in the way, I'm not going to be able to use a regular wrench, a socket wrench, so I'm going to have to loosen it by hand. A little tough. You can just take a hammer and gently just popped right off after I loosened it up with a screwdriver. So I'm going to remove both of these right now, and then I'm going to lay it down. Now you can hang this from something, but you do not want the brake cable to stretch or fall because you can actually get wrecked, and then you'd have to replace that. You got all kinds of other problems. What I love about the Kar Kaddy is they actually put, instead of a washer in here, they actually put this in here. And so this actually keeps the brake rotor on until you put everything back together. But it kind of sits on here loose until you bolt it up again. All right, now this one comes off pretty easy, but if it didn't, what I would recommend is getting a rubber mallet and kind of hitting on the back gently, and it should come off. Cars are a little bit more difficult, and this one is pretty warped. All right, now on here, I'm going to fill around here if there is rust, and if there's a buildup of rust here versus here, which you can see, and I can feel the rust in here. When you put the new rotor on, it'll actually make it not balanced, and it'll cause more wear and tear on your brakes and your tires. So we want to make sure we clean this up, and I'll show you my method. A lot of people have, but this is the one I like to use the most. So the easiest thing I find, if you go to Walmart or Fleet Farm or anywhere, you can get these bristles for attachment for your drill. And then I like to clean this up. And then once I get all the rust off, I like to use a CRC heavy duty corrosion inhibitor, and that'll slow down the rusting. So now I'm going to go ahead and work on the brake. But we need to put this back into place so we can put the brakes on. What I strongly recommend before you push this back in is actually clean this off so it's not being pushed into the cylinder. These are normally slowly put in, but I can see these are already done. But this is the one you're just going to use a C-clamp and use an old brake to put it in, which I'm going to use this one instead. So when you're putting this in, you want to go real slow. You don't want to force it through. That'll wreck your brake line, because you'll thank me when you go ahead and put this brake back on. And then that will stay in once you release this. The other thing I recommend when you start putting the brakes on to keep down squeaking, I like to use a lithium grease and just put it on the back. And that will slow down any squeaking or squeaking noises with the brakes. And you do it this one too. Now the brake is ready to be placed back on. And the rotors you can't just buy from any shop. You actually have to order this directly from Kar Kaddy themselves. So you won't be able to just go down to your local shop and do that. They said they have too many, and this is basically made specifically for the Kar Kaddy. And again, I like to keep this from welding on and be tight, so that's why I saved these little, I don't know what people call them, maybe you know.
That looks pretty shiny.
Oh yeah.
Looks like you just made yourself a new trailer.
All right. Okay, it's in place. Now I'm going to take the bolts I removed earlier, and I'm going to use some of that white lithium grease to put it on here. Protect it, make it easier. Then I'm going to add a little bit of Loctite on the end. And then reinsert this into the brake system. Now, you don't want to tighten it up right away with any kind of specialty tool. You want to slowly work it in. And then you want to repeat the process. The white lithium grease. Make sure there's no grass on it. And then again, a little bit of the Loctite on the end. And insert that. Then to finish this off, you want to ratchet it down, and I recommend for myself on that 30 pounds. And if you've never used one of these before, you got to look for the 0. 0 is right here. If you read that here, I'll show you because I got to get it down. Like right now, right on the line, they're pretty easy to read. But I get it to 30. And I'm at 40. And I have it lined up at 30 with the 0. And then we just crank this down to 30 pounds. And how you know it's set at 30 pounds, crank it. As soon as you hear it make a click, just like that, you're at 30 pounds. And then you'll finish up on this one. So now before I put the tire back on, I'm gonna go ahead and put this fender on, but you don't need to watch that. He's out here trying to help.
Hey, if you hear a lot of squeaking, guess who it is? Somebody with their favorite pink bone.
Now we're gonna go ahead and put this back on the trailer, but I wanna show you something, and I'm gonna have Rhonda walk in and show this. Right in here, this is a good indicator. You can see where it's not running smoothly. It's worn out here and here, and that's another indicator that your brakes rotor is damaged in some way and it needs to be fixed. And your alignment out of your trailer, you need to realign. So I just want to show you that, but let's get this put on. All right, now that we got it down on the ground, I'm just going to torque these down a little bit more. Again, using the cross method. And finally, I'm going to torque it down, which I showed you earlier. So again, you're going to cross each one like you did the other tool. So, and I'll keep cranking this down till you hear like a click, like I showed you earlier. There you go. It's clicked down. I'll go across and repeat that method. So you hear the click. Now you don't want to go more than one click. The second click you hear on this is actually coming back. But if you hear like 3 clicks, you've gone too far, and that's not good. You're over tightening your bolt. The only bad thing about this whole process is I'm doing at a campground at the Daytona Bike Week. There's a lot of noise here, but I don't have my tools. So it made it a little bit more difficult to do this, but I was able to do it in the park. And there you have it. If you like this video, go ahead and click and subscribe for some more upcoming videos, and thanks for watching.
What did you just say?
I need my drink. I really need a drink.